Buying land in Alabama can be one of the best investments you can make. However, a lot of people get hung up on the financing side. They think that it's just like buying a home, but in all reality, the terms are different, the process is different, and if you don't know what to expect, it can be a little bit overwhelming. I'm Chandler Hampton, land specialist with Mossy Oak Properties here in Alabama. And in this video, we're going to go over the basics of financing your first piece of property, how it works, what lenders to look for, and what you can do as a buyer to make the process as smooth as possible. First off, let's clear something up. Land loans are not a traditional mortgage. When you buy a house, banks see your house as collateral that if they ended up with the property, they could easily sell. With land, it may take a little bit longer for them to sell that property. Therefore, what does that mean for you? Well, you're probably going to have bigger down payments, you might have higher interest rates, and it's going to be a shorter loan term, most likely. So how much do you actually need to put down? In Alabama, most lenders are going to require 15 to 25% down for land. For a small home site that may be ready to build, you might get closer to that 15% number, but anything else, any large timberland tract, large recreational tract, you're going to need to expect to put at least 20 to 25% down on that property. As for loan terms, 30-year mortgages are not a thing. You're going to need to expect and be ready for a 10 to 20-year loan term. Your payments are going to be higher, but at least you'll be building equity way faster than you would have with a 30-year term. Now here's where most people get frustrated. Most banks are not just going to sit there and lend you for land. You're going to have to go to a specialized institution, somebody like Alabama Farm Credit or First South Farm Credit, to get approved for your loan. And they're going to know how to underwrite it. They're going to know the values of timber. They're going to know the different soil types, and they're going to know the recreational value that some other banks are not going to know. Some smaller local banks may know how to underwrite land, but you need to make sure that you're going with somebody who can help set up your loan in a way that is beneficial to you both. So what are some things you can do as a buyer to make the process go smoother? The first thing I would do is get pre-approved. When you go to a lender like Alabama Farm Credit, they're going to tell you, hey, you have a $320,000 budget. And so when you bring that to me, then we can go to properties that fit your budget, fit your needs, and we don't waste anybody's time. The second thing I would do when going to get pre-approved and get approved for a loan is I would be very clear about my goals. If I was planning to row crop this property, tell them that. If it's a timberland investment, tell them that. If it's just going to be strictly for hunting or recreational use, tell them that as well. That all plays a factor into your loan approval. The third thing is additional costs. Be ready for those. In addition to just having 20 to 25% to put down, in most cases, you're also going to be ready for higher closing costs. You might have to have an appraisal done. You might have to have a survey done, and those things can add up very, very quickly. And the last thing is you're going to need to be able to show financial stability. Now, this is the same for all loan types. It doesn't matter if you're buying a car, a house, or land. You need to be able to prove that you have financial stability and historical financial stability. So yes, buying your first tract of land is going to be a little bit different than buying a home or your first car. That does not mean that it's any less rewarding. I highly recommend go ahead and reaching out to some of your local lenders, get pre-approved, and then call a land specialist like myself to start your search. As always, thanks and have a blessed day.